YouTube, what the crap's going on? HeirofCarthage back, and I have a couple of online battles I want to show you, and I'm going to put them both in the same video just for ease of viewing here, because one of them is just more of a bonus battle. The first one is Pre Marian Rome versus Carthage. This was called out by my opponent. That was his only rule, was Pre Marian Rome as the faction, and I guess as the unit selection. You can see that he's decided to go with elephants, and then of course I have just upgraded my heavy infantry. There were not large armies available. It was just ultra funds, sorry. So yeah, we'll follow a Principe cam here for you if you want. Let you watch the advance of my Roman legion. Or actually, maybe it'd be more cool if we watch it from Histati cam. Maybe turn backward, I guess. So yeah, anyway, I'm playing as the Pre Marian Romans, obviously. And my legion, I believe, is 4 Histati, 6 Principes, 3 Triarii. I've got 2 Socii Equites Extraordinari. And then I have 2 Equites and 3 Velites, and then my Legatus unit. So you can see I'm running my Histati in the front line, Velites up front, and then I've got my Socii Histati, or Socii Extraordinari, actually right here. They're on the flank of my Histati to keep them from being cav charged. And then I had just used this Equite unit to scout over the ridge, and I'll show you what they were seeing. Try and make this somewhat cinematic. So here's what they're seeing. Some Carthaginian opponents approaching. Of course, the resolution's not that good from this distance. But yeah, anyway, just trying to do some scouting ahead. Kind of a cool map, actually. So there's the Carthaginian army coming into view, and what I can see is that he has 2 units of African elephants. A lot of you don't really believe in the power of elephants in this patch, and I will grant you that they are much easier to kill than they were in past patches, but they are still viable, and I know that none of you believe me because you've yet to see me use them successfully, so I will make it my priority. Does that mean that they're going to be used successfully all the time? No, but I really like elephants in this patch. They may be a smidge too easy to kill or to run amok. If I did change them, I wouldn't change them much, and it's because they can still do vast amounts of damage, but you have to be very careful about implementing them, which would be somewhat historical, I think. Again, though, historical doesn't always have to drive what you find in the battle. I'm just saying that it would be somewhat historical. Gameplay is more important than historical for me, although, I mean, I would like for gameplay to stick historically somewhat close to what it was. So anyway, Carthaginian hoplites, he's got several of them, several Libyan infantry. When I say several, I mean more like 6 probably, and he's got 2 more Carthaginian hoplites here, 2 units of Carthaginian cav. I'll turn this back on so you can see. And he's got several mercenary Balearic slingers. So in total, 4 Carthaginian cav. He's also using a general's bodyguard. These African war elephants are very much a very big threat to my infantry. Playing as Pre Marian Rome, I don't have the Syrian archers. I don't have the long range. Now these Velites are more than capable of downing the elephants, but they don't have long range, and they're going to need to be in the appropriate position. And the elephants only need a few seconds of being successful in order for this to work. Because say for instance that my opponent decides to charge right here at my oncoming infantry, and let's just say for the sake of argument he gets into these 2 units and wrecks them. By losing those 2 units of infantry, my opponent can now wrap around me here, and it only takes a few seconds for these guys to get wasted. And that would probably be enough to swing the battle in his favor, just being able to do that little bit of outflanking. As you can see, I've chosen to send my Histati on this flank, and they're going to attack his infantry in these positions. They probably will not win their fight, whereas my Principes are going to come in against his more seasoned-looking infantry here in the center. I decided to split and go into 1 line, though the Romans would typically have fought in 3 lines. And I'm just going to keep my cav in reserve until I kind of see what happens with his elephants. Now again, right here, you can see me bringing these Velites up into this position. I'm trying to be able to screen the elephants away from my infantry, but I have a little bit of a gap here, so I go ahead and move this Socii Equite Extraordinari into the gap to potentially try and slow the elephants down. But right here is where my infantry would have been at their most vulnerable. So for instance, if my opponent would have just straight beelined this way, it would have been very hard for me to get to him because I still had my Velites way back here. So I did expect him to just beeline here. I thought that's what he was doing, actually. But he's actually used Trample, and my opponent did say that he was new to the game after the fight. I did not know that during the fight. I went into square with my Triarii just to hold him, And then I'm just going to unleash the javelins on the elephants and try and get some kills. Now you can see that they go amok almost instantly. The kills don't come till the second or third volley. And my velites are in column formation, so as they can bunch up and hopefully not get all on top of each other, still get a lot of throws. Anyway, and it condenses the volleys here as well. The African elephants, though, are going down, and if we look over here, my Hastati are losing the fight to his Carthaginian hoplites, and then my Principes are generally winning their fights. I bring the Saki Extraordinari behind his lines and get into his general and bodyguard, and over here my opponent's performing a wide-out flanking maneuver, of which I'm not particularly concerned. In fact, I decided to take this Triarii around his line, and I'll just hold his cavalry with these units, which is somewhat of a risk because he outnumbers me, but I was going to use my bodyguard if I had to, just to slow down his cav. With his elephants going down over here, I'm feeling more confident in my ability to win the fight. The Roman advantage here is infantry. The elephants are Carthage's advantage as well as the skirmishing. And the Carthaginian player has yet to be able to use those two things against me, so as of current, the battle's looking quite good for me. The Carthaginian infantry is already suffering, and the general has just died or is about to die. I think he just died, which means it's going to start rocking the morale of these mercenary units, which do not have that discipline trait. Set general nearby, so the general must still be alive, but he's about to go down. My Triarii rear charge here, and I managed to hold up all the Carthaginian cav out here. And then the elephants have been finished being wrapped up, so I bring my velites around for some quick outflanking, as well as what's left of my Triarii. The elephants gave my two units of Triarii a pretty good stomping. And Triarii are pretty tough units, and they were in square, so again, I hope this conveys to you the sense of how dangerous elephants still are. Again, though, you have to be careful of the way you use them. Now, my opponent did get a rear charge here, and that was great. He knocked out this Hastati. It took a little too long for him to do it, because these Hastati were also vulnerable. But with his general gone, it's really hurting the morale of his men, and the power bar is swinging heavily in my favor because of how many Principes I have left on this side. His men were defeated pretty badly, with his general dying right behind them, and then these velites and other units getting around their flank. It just shattered the morale of the Carthaginian units, and that's pretty much it. So his units go into a chain rout at this point. So it was definitely not the right time for him to lose his general, and it played a huge role in what happened there. I've never figured out why the music doesn't keep playing on the results screen. I wish it would, because when it doesn't, it turns my voice into robot error, which I still need to figure out. But anyway, you can see that was a clear victory for me. Again, 50 kills on his elephants, even being thrown into my javelins. So again, I think you can see, and these are some of the crappiest elephants in the game, these African elephants here, but how potentially devastating they could be had they gotten into the right scenario. And again, my opponent had these Balearic slingers, but he wasn't really able to push that skirmishing advantage, because the Romans are going to want to engage you straightway. In fact, almost always when you're playing as a Roman force, you're going to want to pretty much go for a straight infantry engagement, because you're almost certainly going to win it in most scenarios. In a Pre Marian Rome, I would say that you have that. Now, in Pre Marian, technically the Carthaginians could bring stuff like mercenary noble fighters and Samnite warriors, and the Romans wouldn't have access to Praetorian Guard or Avocati cohort, so potentially Carthage could be very infantry threatening to Rome from a Pre Marian standpoint. However, I think that my opponent here used a lot of African troops that probably wouldn't have been, they may be representing different contingents, like these could be representing Libyans. These are Libyans, and the Carthaginians did use Libyan troops, but it kind of just depends on how you want to look at that type of Carthaginian army. They could have varied wildly depending on the scenario. Now, bonus battle. Again, thank you to my opponent. Fun game. I love the fact that he went into multiplayer and hosted a game that said Pre Marian Rome. That's fun. I wish people would host these types of battles more often. And maybe I need to do it with my viewers and let you all come in and tell me what the scenario is. We'll play it and show it. I love scenario type fights like that. They're just a lot of fun. Alright, so the bonus footage. I decided to have a large armies battle on large funds. Not ultra funds, but large funds. And I didn't really know what to bring or what to expect. I bring 5 Oathsworn, and then all of a sudden, as soon as the battle starts, it's like I say, holy light cavalry. So, this is a spam of light cavalry, and I'm just like, what? Really? Light cav? So I had no idea. So I typed, my opponent never said a word during the whole match, and he does have some noble horse mixed in here. My opponent never said a word during the whole match, and he clicks one blob order straight onto my general. we gotta watch this from general cam. So here's my general, like, yeah, wait a minute, might want to go into shield wall here, guys. I don't know if I got it in time. It's just a horde, like a Rohirrim horde of horsemen, straight into my general. Look at this. And I just couldn't stop laughing at this point in the battle. It's just like a huge horde of men, and it's going to drop frame rates pretty hardcore when I zoom in on this because there's so many soldiers. A lot of you have asked me to do like 4v4 with these huge epic armies. It'll destroy your computer. There's no way. I mean, I have a 4th generation i7. I'm not running the world's greatest graphics card. I mean, it's a GTX 760. Not a bad card. It's overclocked even. And my machine's struggling with this. So that's why you don't see people doing these huge funds battles in like team battles, because it just it's way too graphics intensive. And as you can see, again, even with my machine, we're dropping a lot of frames right here. Anyway, as you zoom up, it's just nothing but carnage here. But there's a funny part of this battle, so I'm going to stay zoomed out. You can see some of the horses from the killed riders escaping. But what you can't see is that there's actually a ton of horses in here waiting to escape. They just have nowhere to go out because I've got my opponent completely surrounded. So just keep watching. And this is probably one of the funniest sights I've ever seen in a Total War battle. I've got my opponent completely surrounded here, and it's just a massacre. But again, you see some of the horses fleeing, but not all. But just watch what happens here in a minute. And this is just, I don't know. I just burst out laughing when I saw this, and I thought my viewers need to see this just because it's hilarious. No idea why my opponent did this. It was kind of funny and kind of completely unexpected. It didn't work, but it's just one of those things that, like, you know, you get hit with weird stuff online sometimes, and sometimes it's really annoying, or you're getting trolled and all that. This was just funny. Just funny. Alright, so again, just keep watching the screen here. You can see some horses escaping in certain areas of the battlefield, but I think here in a minute we're getting close to what it is that I want you to see. In fact, I'll turn off the user interface so you can get a better view of it. Yeah, just watch. I think, yeah, here it goes. Look, right there. It's horses like ants. All the horses where the riders died finally get room to escape, and it's just like all over the battlefield. Thousands of horses running away in all directions. The riders having been murdered in this mosh pit of death up here, which has just become a cavalry slaughter zone. Anyway, I thought that was hilarious. Again, look at all the fleeing horses. Oh man, that was unreal. I've never seen anything like that. Oh man. Yeah, so I hope you all enjoyed the little bonus footage there. It's the Bowie horse farm, I guess, in this case. So just wanted to show you that because it was different. Didn't see that one coming. Hope you all enjoyed it. Glad to be back with the multiplayer battle. Sorry I haven't had some the last few days. I've just been busy, and the footage I had gotten before just wasn't real good. And I try and bring you stuff that is as entertaining as possible. It doesn't always mean that it's going to be some kind of competitive tournament match where both players clash in epic victories. No, it's just hopefully it'll be good footage with factions you want to see, and you can discuss the tactics. But anyway, HeirofCarthage signing off for now. Hope you enjoyed it.